Hey, Rob from 142 here, and today we are going to be talking about Dragged Across Concrete, a movie from 2018 that I never got around to watching. It's been on my list, but yeah, it was just sitting there. Grindhead Jim actually told me that yeah, I should check it out, so I did. What I think of it? Let's check it out. Written and directed by S Craig Zahler, Dragged Across Concrete tells the story of two overzealous cops who, after getting suspended from the force, must delve into the criminal underworld to get their proper compensation. The movie stars Mel Gibson, Vince Vaughn, Tory Kittles, Michael J. White, and Laurie Holden. First off, this movie it's a few years old, right? So in seeking it out, I was thinking, it's probably available on some streaming service somewhere, right? Sure. So I tried it on Vudu. And within 10 minutes, I saw 6 ads, and I was like, nope, I can't, not doing it, not doing it. So I'm looking on Just Watch, an app that I use a lot, and it says that it's free on Plex. So I download Plex, start watching it, and I'm like, okay, cool. Ads. So I said, screw it, I'm gonna rent it. So I rented it. I rented it from iTunes. It was $3.99, and yeah, I actually got to watch the movie. Now, S. Craig Zahler has made a name for himself for his first two movies, and that was Bone Tomahawk and Brawl in Cell Block 99. Now, I don't know if any of you have watched those movies, but they're known for extreme violence. They tell good stories. I actually like both of those movies, but wow, when the violence happens, it is it's rough. It's rough. It's unflinching. I mean, it's kind of like when you would think that the camera would turn away. Nope, nope. Zoller decides to focus on it. And it is in, I mean, I think a lot of people were probably really turned off by those movies simply because of the extreme violence. I actually appreciated the storytelling being shown off in those two movies, but yeah, they're kind of rough, but unforgettable movies, at least in my opinion. So when this movie came along, it was like, yeah, I want to watch that. I want to watch that movie. I mean, across the board, the acting is excellent. The cinematography is excellent. But here's a question that I have for those of you who might have watched this movie: did you find it to be overly dark, especially in the dimly lit scenes? It seemed like somebody forgot to turn on a light or something. And what I noticed is later on, I watched the trailer just to kind of get an idea of how they marketed this movie. And even some of the same scenes were much brighter in the trailer than they were in the actual movie. So is this something that iTunes did? Is this something that I mean, I don't know. Was this a choice by the director to show these scenes where I mean, you can still make out what's happening, but it's very dark. It's very dark in some scenes. And like I said, I wasn't sure if it was iTunes doing it or if it was maybe since I rented it, maybe the HDR didn't kick in. I don't know. So I'm kind of curious for those of you who have seen it. Did you remember that the scenes were too dark? And over 2.5 hours. I mean, I think it's like 2 hours and 39, 2 hours and 38 minutes. It's a long movie, and there are a lot of scenes that I was reading, what other people thought about the movie, and some people were like, there's, you could probably cut 20, 30 minutes out of this movie and it not make a difference. There are conversations being had between characters that I think those are the scenes that they're probably talking about. These scenes where, like for example, Vince Vaughn is eating a sandwich, right? And Mel Gibson is commenting on it. The way that the characters are kind of drawn out. And you're just kind of sitting there and almost living with these characters, them doing their thing. It kind of reminds me of Stephen King in the way that he writes his characters. That they're so well crafted, and you spend so much time with them that you can't help but be invested in those characters. So for me, it was almost like, yeah, it's something that I actually appreciated. I also feel that in this day and age of binging and all that kind of thing, I feel like a movie that was over 2 hours back in the day. When you go into a theater, maybe you're like, I can actually feel the runtime. I think we have a little more patience these days, with watching movies and binging shows on on our couch in our living rooms. The thing about this movie is that you've got these characters that maybe not completely likable, but you're, like I said, you're invested in their stories, and they make these decisions that are very questionable. Like toward the end of the movie, I kind of felt myself really drawing back from all of the characters and just thinking, I don't really like any of these people. These people are making decisions that I don't agree with. When the credits rolled, I started to sit there and I thought about it. And I mean, it actually took me some time to really kind of make an opinion of what I thought of the movie. And even though I don't agree with all the decisions the characters made, there was something about it that just made it feel like, yeah, I mean that there's nothing you. It's almost like I can't fault the story for being what it was. You know, the only thing that I can fault is whether if the acting's bad or if the camera work is bad or whatever. And none of that was bad. So I kind of have to give this a favorable rating. It's such a weird thing because like I said, I had a hard time trying to figure out whether I liked the movie or not. But I would say that if you're in it for experiencing the kind of movie that S Craig Zahler is known to make, especially if you've seen those other two movies and you're like, yeah, I kind of want to see what else this guy's got up his sleeve, I would say for sure this is recommended. I would say check it out. For everyone else, it's you have to understand that there is, as I said before, uncompromising, unflinching violence that's shocking when it happens. It's weird how the movie almost casts a spell on you in a way where you don't think, this feels safe, and then out of nowhere some violence happens and you're like, okay, wow, wow. So if I was going to give this a rating, I would say yes, 3 stars. I would say yeah, it's definitely recommended to watch, especially for those people who are interested in those kind of things. With all that in mind, if you have one of those feelings where you're like, I don't like it when the violence is too extreme or whatever, then I would say yeah, find something else to watch because this is, like I said, it can get rough and it gets rough really fast and almost like is like, oh hey, surprise, crazy violence. So, Dragged Across Concrete. What did you think of it? Have you seen it, or did it like me? Did it drop off your radar and now you're like, yeah, maybe I'll check it out. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section, and we'll talk about it because that's a lot of fun. I enjoy that. It's my one of my favorite things about YouTube is getting to converse with you all. So, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.